Welcome to Silicon Valley Nonprofits, a service of KMVT Community Media. I'm Bev Lenihan, your host. Today, our guest will be Ewell Sterner, Executive Director and founder of Hunger at Home. Ewell, thank you so much for being with us today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, you know, we're here in Silicon Valley, and many people think that we've already solved this problem of hunger in our area. Is that true? Tell us the facts.
Well, there is approximately 722,140, elaborate a little bit, facing food insecurity in our valley at this time. So if you break that down into 1 in 4, perhaps at the University San Jose, studies have been done that it's 1 in 3 individuals are facing food insecurity. And an interesting part of that statistic is 40% of all food globally is wasted. So you take those statistics that we just spoke of, 25% of that 40% would feed every food insecure individual on our planet.
In the world. Oh my goodness. And yet it's not happening. It's not happening. So that's a powerful statistic. It's kind of scary to me, actually, really. So Hunger at Home, you're playing a vital role in helping to close this gap. Tell our viewers what you're doing.
The Reader's Digest version, Hunger at Home is a conduit between for-profit and non-profit. We bridge the gap. We take the surplus that's available out into the community, from food to anything you'd find in a resort, in industry, that was needed by our non-profit partners. So we would take and we utilize the Good Samaritan Bill Emerson Act. There is a federal law that goes through and indemnifies agencies from liability. So the food that's left over from large agencies, example, Levi's Stadium does a game. There's 700 points of sale. Even if a small 1% of those points of sale didn't go through the product, they would have over 1,800 meals that were under 40, over 40, kept in temperature, that they could then donate to the nonprofits.
I had no idea that there was that indemnification clause.
It's important. 1996, Bill Clinton passed. Since, Bev, 1996, there's been 0 litigation liability. There has been no individual that has successfully won a lawsuit in with all good conscience donating food that has been cared for to those in need. 0 litigation. So it's something that people need to be aware of, that it is protected by the government if you're handling product well.
And so that's the part that you have to help oversee to make sure that safety features in place, I'm sure.
Part of Hunger at Home, we vet any nonprofit. Some of our larger partners, from Salvation Army, Martha's Kitchen, City Team, Home First, Destination Home, we go through and we ensure that they're ServSafe certified. We've come up with our food safety guidelines. We do allergen requests. We ensure that the food is handled properly. Obviously, it's transported properly and then maintained. We don't ever want anyone to become sick from the product, but we worked with Second Harvest, with the health department, advising on proper food safety guidelines. So that's very important to our mission.
And those partnerships are really built on trust, aren't they?
Absolutely.
Not only the guidelines you lay down, but certainly a high regard for trust and respect of one another.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I know you've got many, many personal stories, but the one that I'd like you to share with our viewers is about your son and really how Hunger at Home got started.
So back in 2008, I'm in the hotel industry. I move around quite often. I went from San Diego to Puerto Rico to Colorado to Arizona in a matter of years. So when in San Diego, I have 4 kids, single dad. They lost their mom, and they started to focus on things that I didn't want them focused on. The wrong set of friends, sitting at the computer so we started volunteering our time at the different nonprofits, at the food bank, at the rescue mission. My 8-year-old son looked up, I can see him as if it was you now, and said, "Dad, how can this be? We have a huge house. Can't we open? Dad, we have to do more." And I was the area director for Hilton Hotels, had 26 hotels. We went back the next day, had a meeting with all of our different executive chefs and directors of food and beverage, and Hunger at Home began.
My goodness. And what year was that?
2008.
Oh, goodness. And I bet your son just beams when he hears you tell that story.
He does, and my son is very active. In fact, he comes to each gala and will come up and do a presentation and talk about some of the statistics and the greatest needs that within our community.
And I'm sure with passion, because that's where it starts, isn't it? With a passion and a need and an understanding. So tell us a little bit more about how the logistics of all of this has got to be just amazing to make it all happen, to get delivery of everything, get it to the right location, ensuring all the safety. Tell us how that works.
Like any B2B or foundation, so safety guidelines are the core, the foundation, the fundamental, and basically, Bev, it's an algorithm between the for-profits, who has what time do they generally donate, what kind of product, and then the nonprofits, what is their greatest need? How can they facilitate? Do they have large freezers, refrigerators? And 85% of that is business to business. So I'll get a call. Hi, I did a banquet for Apple, Google, 2,000 out of 4,000 showed up. I have 2,000 pounds up. Oh my gosh. Algorithm sets in. Salvation Army can handle large capacities of protein. You pick up the phone, Salvation Army will go within their trucks, they go to designated areas. So our goal, business to business, but there's many times that there's just not availability. So that's, we get in our vehicles and get trailers and bring that to those in need. But the primary, it's important that we learn. We used to, in the beginning, go out to the encampments and do large feeding. We found that wasn't the best way to support, and we don't want to say enable, but we found that if we supporting those in need, it's a long mouthful,
yes.
But in other words, the nonprofits, that's what they do. They're set up, their operations to facilitate, to ensure they're providing case management, they're providing the full circle, not just giving a meal. So we really are the support of different nonprofits throughout the community, which makes us different.
In my experience, you've said something so important. Without the case management, it becomes a meal. And really, it's got to be more than a meal for us to address the hunger situation. There's always a lot more to it than just being hungry. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. So I think you've branched out a little bit. It's not just food, is it, anymore? With your hotels involved, you've been able to broaden some of the offerings that you can give to the nonprofits.
It's important, and our board is always going fishing with me, and no mission creep, and it's so hard to do because you go out and you see the need, but primarily you look at the food to need, you look at the surplus. A great example, you go into a hotel, the Fairmont is a great example because they're wonderful and they're great partners, but I use a lot of shampoo when I go into the hotels, and you use just a little bit.
For all that hair.
Well, maybe for here, and then it gets thrown away. So all of our hotel partners have bins that are by their landings, and their housekeepers go through, and now they take those partially used and amenities, soaps, they go to Showers, their Dignity on Wheels, Salvation Army, City Team, blankets. We just did about, maybe in the last 2 weeks, it was about 400 blankets and
fabulous.
pillows, cold weather shelters. We actually had so much. We filled up the Archie's Armies, we filled up Home First, we filled up different shelters where we brought it down to Paradise, to Chico, because we had such an abundance. So that, with the last part, is the awareness is always going to be what we do in advocacy, getting the individuals working throughout state and legislation, but career opportunities. Those in need, all of our hotel partners, entry culinary, housekeeping, banquets, plumbing, HVAC, Local 39, Local 19. So we take the thousands of individuals that have shown promise through City Team, through Downtown Street Team, that are looking for work, we connect the dots.
Wonderful. We're out of time, darn it.
I just got started, Deb. Let's get started in this. We want to show our book. We want to talk about.
So tell our friends how to get a hold of you so that they can be a part of this solution.
The best, easiest way to get a hold of Hunger at Home at any time is hungerathome.org. We have a website. It'll be completely brand new in about 2 weeks, but there's volunteer opportunities there. There's contact information. There's great overview of what we do. hungerathome.org.
Wonderful. Thank you. And thank you so much for being here today. Thank you.
You're very welcome.